Okay, hello and welcome to Hanging Out with Bob, a podcast hosted by me, Bob Edholm. Thanks for joining us, and let's get started. Well, I'm really looking forward to this podcast. My guest today is Tom Madigan, a friend of mine since the mid-1970s. He joins me today in the palatial recording studio of my apartment in Columbia Heights, Minnesota. Tom is up here in the Twin Cities, Blaine, Minnesota, when the weather isn't winter. He spends the other 6 months in the day, right, basically in Gold Canyon, Arizona, in the greater Phoenix area. If you recall during our previous podcast with him, I usually addressed Tom by his nickname, Dog. So, Dog, welcome back to Hanging Out with Bob.
Hey, it's great to see you again.
Mr. Madigan and I share a love for the University of Minnesota's sports teams, and today our focus will be on the 7 seasons that Cal Stahl was head football coach of the Minnesota Golden Gophers, an era that started in 1972 and ended in 1978. I wanted to record a podcast about Cal Stahl for 2 reasons. First, both you and I, Dog, were attending the University of Minnesota when Cal Stahl was head football coach there, so the players in that squad were around our age, fellow boomers, fellow students who went to classes on the east or west banks of the campus in Minneapolis, just like you and I did. And second, I get the sense that many of the younger fans of Gopher football, the Gen Xers, the Millennials, even Gen Zs, have little or no idea of who Cal Stahl even was. Who? Cal Stahl? At the same time, I'm thinking of the many Gopher football fans of our age, the boomers, who were around when Cal Stahl was coaching in the 1970s, who may have forgotten how those teams did during that time at Minnesota. It's been almost 50 years. So what I hope, Dog, that you and I can do during this podcast is show that Cal Stahl was actually a pretty good football coach when he was here with some pretty decent teams, all things considered. Now, just some background on Cal Stahl. And Dog, I know you probably did some research too. Did you see where Cal Stahl is from?
He's from Page, North Dakota.
Yep, P-A-G-E, North Dakota, yep. A little farm up there in December 1923 is when he was born. And he started playing football when he was, he played football as a fullback for his 6-man team.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, 6-man team.
Not even 9-man like they have in Minnesota for the small schools. 6-man. I mean, it'd be like 3 on the line and a quarterback and a couple of receivers or runners or something. So it'd be fun to watch a game. I'm sure on YouTube we could see a 6-man game because they still play it. I understand in North Dakota. So back to Cal Stahl. At age 17, in June 1941, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy. And with the outbreak of World War II, Stahl's tour of duty was extended to 1947. During the war, he served in the Pacific Theater. Stahl also played football for the Memphis Navy and Seattle Navy squads during his time in the service. And after he was discharged from the Navy in January of 1947, Stahl enrolled for winter quarter at the University of Minnesota. He was a 23-year-old freshman. You and I were both graduated from the U by the time we were 23 out in the working world, but then we didn't serve in the military or go overseas to a war, so he just got a later start. Stahl would play end for the Gophers in the 1948 and 1949 seasons, and because it was the 1940s, I'm guessing he played end on both offense and defense, the single platoon football as they played back then. But then, in 1950, Stahl actually elected to forego his final year of football eligibility so he could graduate early with a Bachelor of Science degree in education from the U. And the reason he wanted to graduate early, Dog?
He wanted to get a job.
He wanted to coach football. He wanted to coach it. He'd played it, and now he wanted to coach it. So a month before he actually graduated from the U in June of 1950, he was named the head football coach at
Mound
High School in Mound, Minnesota. And today it goes by Mound West Tonka, but it's still the same school. But he was successful there that year he coached. He guided the Mound High School football team to a 6-1 record and a Lake Conference co-championship. And after that one successful season of coaching high school football in 1950, Stahl jumped to the college ranks, where he served as an assistant coach for the next 18 seasons, from 1951 through 1968. His stops as an assistant coach included Utah State, Denver, Georgia, and Michigan State. At MSU, Stahl helped the Spartans achieve back-to-back national championships in 1965 and 1966. And his connections to the state of Michigan, in fact, would help him with recruiting high school players from Michigan when he came to Minnesota. but more on that later. So finally, after 18 seasons as an assistant coach at 4 different programs, Stahl was named head football coach at Wake Forest, where he stayed from 1969 to 1971. And Doug, what's the nickname for Wake Forest?
Demon Deacons.
Oh, very good. I can't remember that name. I always think of is it the Blue Demons for Duke?
Blue Devils.
Blue Devil, okay. Demons, Devils, whatever. So, but the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And anyway, in 1970, Cal Stahl led the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest to the first ACC football championship. And fittingly, Stahl was named ACC Coach of the Year. So, with Murray Warmath retiring as the Gophers head football coach at the end of the 1971 season, it turned out to be the right time for Stahl to return to his alma mater, Minnesota, in 1972. So, on to the 7 seasons of the Cal Stahl era and the Minnesota Gophers from 1972 through 1978. In this podcast, we're going to cover these points regarding the 7 seasons of the Cal Stahl era. First, we'll tell you the Gophers' record in each season, overall record where they finished in the Big Ten, their record at home, and their record on the road. Second, we'll let you know which team won the Big Ten Conference in each season, as well as which team was college football's national champion that year. Third, we'll give you the average attendance figures for the Gophers' home games played at Memorial Stadium in each of those 7 seasons, as well as the home game with the largest attendance in each season. My source for these attendance figures, by the way, is gophersports.com, the website for University of Minnesota Athletics. And fourth, we'll tell you how the Gophers did in the Cal Stahl era in their trophy games against their 3 biggest rivals in the Big Ten, which were the Michigan Wolverines, and that trophy was the
Little Brown Jug.
Yep. And the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Floyd of Rosedale.
And the Wisconsin Badgers.
The Paul Bunyan Axe.
Very good, very good. Listeners, you can go online to see photos of these trophies, but yes, the Floyd of Rosedale trophy really is a pig, a bronze pig that goes by the name of Floyd. And Floyd, the actual trophy, weighs about 100 pounds. So when those guys are hoisting the trophy at the end of the game,
I didn't realize it weighed that much.
It's a big sucker. Yeah. Fifth, we'll give you the names of consensus or unanimous All-Americans that the Gophers played against in each season of Cal Stahl's tenure at Minnesota. You'll recognize many of these players because they went on to professional football careers in the NFL or elsewhere. And sixth, finally, we'll list the names of Gopher players who received individual honors in each of those seasons, from the team's own MVP award to anyone who was named to the All-Big Ten teams. So, on to the 1972 football season. You know, 1972 was the year McDonald's came up with the Egg McMuffin breakfast sandwich.
Oh, is that right?
So, Doug, how did the Gophers do in 1972, their first season under Cal Stahl?
Well, given that the fact that it was his first season, it was a tough start and a slow start. They lost their first 5 games of the season, 3 of them at home. They were 4-7 overall, 4-4 in the Big Ten, and they ended up in 5th place. 3-4 at home and 1-3 on the road.
Okay. And who did win the Big Ten in 1972?
Well, it was tied. Michigan and Ohio State tied at 7-1 records because Ohio State beat Michigan 14-11 in their head-to-head game. The Buckeyes went on to the Rose Bowl. The Buckeyes played undefeated and top-ranked Southern Cal in Pasadena on New Year's Day and got thumped 42-17. Not surprisingly, Southern Cal won the national championship in 72.
They had some football back then.
They had some talent.
Yep. All right, thanks, Doug. And then what kinds of crowds did the Gophers draw at Memorial Stadium in the 1972 season?
Well, average attendance was around 37,000 for the 6 home games. The season high of attendance was a game against Iowa, and 44,196. As you know, Bob, you get a lot of folks from Iowa that came up to those games and still do today.
Yep.
The Gophers won that game 43-15 to claim Floyd of Rosedale.
So Floyd stayed in Minneapolis. Okay.
Just a note on that, Bob. You know, the capacity of Memorial Stadium is 52,736, and they could seat actually up to 56,000. So it gives a little perspective on how well they actually filled the stadium at each game.
Yeah.
They didn't fill it.
No. Yeah, we did a previous podcast even during the Warmath area, and there were years where average attendance was like 60,000. They had even more people in the stadium then, but it was quite a dramatic.
Well, and as you and I have talked, pro sports and the Vikings had a big impact, I think, on attendance at Gopher football.
Yeah, no, I agree. That most definitely. How did they do, Doug, in their other 2 trophy games that year?
Well, they split. The Gophers lost to Michigan 42-0 in the battle for the Little Brown Jug, but they won at Wisconsin 14-6 to bring Paul Bunyan's axe back to Minneapolis.
Okay, all right, thanks. And here are the consensus or unanimous All-Americans that the Gophers faced in 1972. First, let me define my terms. A consensus All-American is a player who was named first-team All-American by at least half of the recognized selectors. By selectors, I mean like the Associated Press, UPI, American. There were 6 altogether, but if you were at least half of those, you were consensus. And then, of course, unanimous means that you were a first-team All-American by all the lists. And these players would be the cream of the crop of that year. And in 1972, there were 3 unanimous All-Americans that the Gophers played against. First was Johnny Rogers from Nebraska.
Yep.
He also won the Heisman Trophy that year. Incidentally, Nebraska beat the Gophers 49-0 that game. Johnny Rogers was great. I remember him really well when he played. It's funny. He went to Montreal to play pro football. He was with the Alouettes. He played there for 4 years, and then he signed with the Chargers in 1977, but he was limited because of injuries. He played like 17 games over 2 seasons. So in the NFL, he was kind of a bust. But he was an exciting, dynamic college player. The second unanimous All-American was Rich Glover, a senior middle guard, also from Nebraska. He played just 2 seasons in the NFL and one in that World Football League, if you remember that.
Yeah.
So, again, another Nebraska All-American, but with a very short pro career. And the third unanimous All-American the Gophers faced in 72 was a guy named Brad Van Pelt. He was a defensive back from Michigan State, and a good player. And the Gophers had beaten Michigan State that year 14-10. But Van Pelt was a player I definitely had heard of because he was Big Ten. Nebraska wasn't back then, and I remember that name. And he was selected by the Giants in the NFL, and he played 14 seasons as a linebacker. So he
had a good career.
Yeah, yep. And then the 7 consensus All-Americans. I tell you, this was a year when they played a lot of All-Americans. A guy named Willie Harper from Nebraska. He was a defensive end. He played 11 seasons in the NFL. There was a guy named Dave Butts. He was a senior defensive tackle from Purdue. He played first with the Cardinals and then with the Redskins. I think he played in 3 Super Bowls. And he was a great player with Washington. He was later named as one of the 70 greatest Redskins in franchise history when they were still called the Redskins. But he had a good career. And did you know, Doug, that Dave Butts was actually the nephew of Earl Butts? I don't know if you remember that name off the top of your head, but
I recall it.
He was a Purdue University professor, but he's probably best known for serving as the U.S. Secretary of Agriculture under Nixon and Ford.
Nixon and Ford.
So
Earl
I remember
Butts.
when you first saw that name Butts, I thought that's not a real common name, and then all of a sudden, Earl Butts is his uncle. So, all right, the next All-American was a guy named Otis Armstrong. He was a senior running back from Purdue, also a very good player. He played in the NFL for several seasons, and then you remember Randy Gradishar? He was a linebacker from Ohio State. I'll have more on him about in the 1973 season. Next was Cullen Bryant, a senior defensive back from Colorado. They played Colorado that year, so he was named the All-American team, and he played 13 years in the NFL. Another guy named Paul Seymour. He was a tackle from Michigan, which beat the Gophers 42-0, as you had mentioned. He also played in the NFL. He played for the Bills 5 seasons. And then finally, Randy Logan. He was a senior D-back from Michigan, and he was selected by the Eagles in the NFL draft and played 11 seasons there. So a lot of good players that the Gophers played.
Definitely.
They scheduled some really good games. I mean, Nebraska, Colorado, and Michigan, Ohio State, all that stuff. So,
a couple of Big 12 schools.
Yeah, they did.
Back then.
In fact, I got more to say about their scheduling later in this podcast because I think it's pretty significant. There was a lot of excitement when Cal Stahl was named the new head football coach of the Gophers. Then athletic director Paul Giel, who was a Gopher star tailback himself in the early 50s, and he was actually runner-up for Heisman Trophy in 1953, which I forgot until I was looking this up again. He really worked hard to drum up excitement and support from local businesses and alumni when this new coach came. In fact, they got new uniforms that year. They kind of wore the maroon and gold stuff, but they they got these uniforms that were actually purchased by Hal Greenwood. Do you remember that name?
Oh, sure.
Hal Greenwood. He
Yeah.
was the chairman and CEO of Midwest Federal.
Right.
And a lifetime Gopher Athletic fan. And he actually purchased the uniforms. They were kind of a gold. They were all gold when they're home. Jerseys and pants were gold. It was supposed to be reminiscent of the mustard gold uniforms worn by the great teams of the 30s and 40s. That was the idea. The helmets looked great too. The helmets were gold, and the M's were maroon, and they had like white outlines on the outside. So it was a cool looking helmet. I just remember, going to games with those new uniforms. It was such a change from before then, because Dave and I, my brother Dave, we had season tickets when Warmath was still there, and they had their traditional maroon jerseys with the white helmets and the numbers on the side. And I think they still wear those sometimes for games now, but it was just a big change. So.
Little side note on Paul Giel. I think he was from Winona.
He was.
And he went to Winona Cotter, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad knew his dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because my dad worked on a railroad.
Yeah, was
and
he a railroad guy too?
He had some connection with the railroad.
Yeah.
And my dad, the train track went from my hometown of Waseca to Winona, and my dad used to run that line, and he'd spend overnight, whatever, and come back the next day from Winona, and he knew his dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. About Hal Greenwood, I just want to bring this up because it was news back then. He was one of the few savings and loan officials to actually be sentenced to prison in that savings and loan meltdown in the late 80s. He spent 46 months in prison and was ordered to forfeit $3.6 million. But that's perhaps another podcast for another podcaster. But I remember Hal Greenwood, he always would put himself in the commercials too. He'd talk about the
That's
Gophers,
right.
but he'd be sitting there talking to Bill Musselman or something. He loved the attention. But all right, well, back to the Gophers in Cal Stall in 72. We learned that those great-looking new uniforms don't automatically translate into victories, even if they look cool. It was a tough start for Stall in his first year, like you had mentioned, 4-7 overall. And for as much excitement as there seemed to be about the new era in Gopher football, average attendance was like 37,000 a game. That was really quite low. Like I said, in previous podcasts we've done, there were years in the 40s, 50s, and 60s where average size crowds were 60,000. So the Memorial Stadium, the brick house wasn't filled up as often, once we got into the 70s. So I just want to mention a few Gopher players that received honors. There was a junior fullback from Harvest, Alabama named John King. He actually led the Gophers, or he actually led the Big Ten in rushing that year in 72. He was named to the All Big Ten first team, John King. And then there was a defensive back named Tim Alderson from Mankato, who would later get drafted by the Packers, and he was named to the second team of All Big Ten that year. And then John King again, he was the team MVP award. They always would have that banquet at the end of the year. So. On to 1973. That was the year, Dog, that the first cell phone call was made by a Motorola engineer while he was standing on 6th Avenue in New York City.
That's right. I remember that story.
Well, after a challenging start in 1972, Dog, how did the Gophers do in their second season under Cal Stall?
Well, it was a big improvement from 72. They ended up 7-4 overall, 6-2 in the Big Ten in third place, 4-2 at home, and 3-2 on the road.
And who won the Big Ten in 1973?
I'll let you guess. Ohio State at Michigan. We're co-champs again. They played a 10-10 tie in 73, and both teams ended up the season at 7-0-1 in the Big Ten and 10-0-1 overall. Because their game ended in a tie, the Big Ten athletic directors voted 6-4 to send Ohio State to the Rose Bowl. Michigan athletic officials and fans were outraged, of course, with even the Vice President of the United States, Gerald Ford, who went to Michigan, speaking out against the decision. Ford was on the national championship squads at Michigan in 32 and 33. At the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, Ohio State routed Southern Cal 42-21. It would have been the only win for the Big Ten in the Rose Bowl in the 1970s. Notre Dame and Alabama shared the national championship in 73.
Yeah, wow. And how was attendance in 73 then, Doug?
41,000 average, season high attendance, was Nebraska, of course, because they were a powerhouse back then. 56,782, which is pretty much capacity.
Yep.
But they got their, you know what, kid, 48-7
You know,
to
Nebraska is like Iowa. Their fans travel really well.
Yes, they do.
And in Minnesota wasn't that far for them to go. So when you think back on it now, it was a logical geographical choice for them to join the Big Ten, you know, because it just made sense geographically to have them. So how did they do in 73 then, their trophy games?
Well, let's see. They won 2 out of 3. The Gophers won on the road at Iowa, 31-23, but they lost at home, 34-7 at Michigan, and of course they beat Wisconsin at home, 19-17.
Okay, close game.
To
Close game.
maintain the axe.
Yeah, they got the X, so okay, that's good. Okay, in 73, there were 3 unanimous All-Americans that played against the Gophers. First one is a guy named John Hicks. He was a senior offensive tackle with Ohio State. He played 3 seasons in the NFL. Randy Gradishar, who I mentioned earlier, from Ohio State, he played for the Broncos for 10 seasons. He was very good. He was on that Orange Crush defense in the 70s when the Broncos had a run there. And he's been elected to both the College Football and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So he was quite a football player. And then the other unanimous All-American was a guy named John Dutton, a defensive end with Nebraska. And he went on to play 5 years in the NFL. Five years with the Colts and 9 seasons with Dallas. So he played for a long time in the NFL. So, and 3 consensus All-Americans. And this guy, I have to admit, I don't remember him. His name is David Janes. He was a quarterback with Kansas, and they had beaten the Gophers 34-19 in a non-conference game. He was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs, but he only played 2 games, and he threw 2 passes, and 1 was intercepted, and that was it. That's as far as I went for pro football.
What a great career in the NFL.
Yeah. The second guy was Dave Gallagher with Michigan. He actually, it's interesting, he had a long football career, but he also was going to medical school, and for 31 years, he was an orthopedic surgeon. So after he became Dr. Dave Gallagher, in addition to football, he was a doctor. And you notice those first 2 guys' names were Dave. And the third consensus All-American is also named Dave Brown. He was a junior defensive back from Michigan. And I'll have more on him later because he was All-American the next season. I'm going to tell you a quick sidebar, Dog, about that Michigan-Ohio State football game in 1973. I was one of many millions of people who watched that game on TV, which was played in Ann Arbor, Michigan, before a crowd of 105,223 people. At the time, that was an NCAA record. But I watched a game on a television in Kaiserslautern, West Germany.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
I had a cousin who was in the U.S. Army, and he was stationed there. There was a base there in Kaiserslautern. And he and his family lived in a house real close to the base. And because of the 6-hour time difference, what was an afternoon game here was in the evening when we were watching it, you know, when it came on TV. The Armed Forces made American TV shows available to soldiers that lived there, so we were able to see the ABC telecast. And the announcers were Chris Schenkel and Duffy Doherty, who was Cal Stahl's boss when he was the assistant. Duffy Doherty was Michigan State's coach when they won those championships. And anyway, Duffy, he was at Michigan State from 54 to 72, the same years that Murray Warmath was at Minnesota, as it turned out. And then Stahl, was his assistant and had a lot of success there. So,
I remember Chris Schenkel was the guy that was the announcer or whatever for American Sportsman. I don't know if you remember that show. I think it was on Sundays.
He did a lot of stuff. He did NBA basketball, and he did boxing matches, and he did. If there was an event, he was there, Chris Schenkel. So, yeah, I remember that name well. So, well, like you said, the Gopher season in '73, they definitely showed improvement over the year before, and average attendance was a little better than last year, and they did finish the season strong with 4 straight wins, so that helped their record. So. 2 Gophers made the All-Big Ten team that year. First team, in fact. It was a senior linebacker named Steve Niels from St. Peter, Minnesota. He went on to play 7 seasons in the NFL with the Cardinals. And then senior tight end Keith Fahnhorst, if you remember that name.
Yeah, I remember Fahnhorst.
Big guy. I remember him on campus, actually. But he had 14 seasons with the 49ers. He was on those Super Bowl teams. And
yeah, he had a lot of success in football.
Very good. Yep. I definitely remember him on campus. You noticed him. He was just a big guy, So, And then two other Gophers made the second team All Big Ten. A senior linebacker named Darryl Bungie from La Crosse, Wisconsin. Sorry, I'd never heard him before. And then this guy, I'm thinking you did hear of. He was a junior wide receiver named Rick Upchurch.
Oh, yeah.
I've got more on him later, too. The Gophers actually gave out 2 MVP awards that year. It seemed like they gave one to defense and one to offense. But the defensive player that got the MVP was Steve Niels, who I mentioned earlier. And then an offensive tackle named Matt Herkenoff from Melrose, Minnesota. He went on to play 10 seasons in the NFL with the Chiefs, so he had a good long career. So.
Yeah, I wasn't at the U in 74. I was at Winona State that fall.
Yeah.
So I transferred up the U in 76.
Okay. All right, on to the 1974 season. 1974 was also the year that one of our all-time favorite movies, Blazing Saddles, premiered. Gotta mention
Just
that.
watched it the other day.
Yep. Okay, so Doug, how did the Gophers do in 74, their third season under Cal Stahl?
Well, they had a little bit of a drop. They didn't do as well as 73. They were 4-7 overall, 2-5 in the Big Ten, three-way tie for 7th place with Iowa and Northwestern, 3-3 at home and 1-4 on the road.
They weren't road warriors that year.
No.
Huh? And I almost know the answer already, but who won the Big Ten in 74?
I'll give you 3 guesses. The first 2 don't count. Michigan and Ohio State were co-champs at 7-1.
Yeah.
However, the Buckeyes earned the Rose Bowl berth with a 12-10 victory over Michigan. You can understand the rivalry today between those schools.
I can see why.
Yeah.
I can see why.
Yeah. Rose Bowl that year was against Southern Cal again, and Cal beat them 18-17.
Close one, yeah.
And Cal ended up sharing the national championship in 74 with Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oklahoma.
Okay. All right. And then how was attendance at the home games in 74?
Well, they averaged about 37,500, and season high attendance was Iowa at 48,579, which the Gophers won 23-17, so they kept Floyd at Rosedale again.
Yep. But how about the other 2 trophy games?
Well, they lost them both. They got walloped in both games. The Gophers lost to Michigan 49-0 at Michigan, and at Wisconsin 49-14. So they only kept Floyd that year.
Yeah. Wow.
Tough.
Yeah,
tough one.
a lot of points given up.
A lot of points given up.
And the Gophers played against 2 unanimous All-Americans in 74. The first one was Archie Griffin, junior running back with Ohio State, which beat the Gophers 34-19 at Memorial Stadium. Griffin would go on to win the first of 2 straight Heisman trophies in 1974. I'll have more on him when we talk about the 75 season. And then we mentioned him for 73, Dave Brown. This time he was a senior D-back with Michigan. He was the first-round pick of the Steelers. And he went on to play 11 seasons in the NFL. And actually, his greatest years were with Seattle. He played there for, I think, 11 seasons. And his 50 career interceptions with the Seahawks remains a club record. So
I remember him when he was with the Seahawks.
Yeah, good D-back. So. Mm-hmm. And there were 2 consensus All-Americans, a guy named Marvin Crenshaw from Nebraska, which beat the visiting Gophers 54-0. So they talked about all those points they were giving up. He played. And then a guy named Steve Myers. He was a center with Ohio State. He made a consensus All-American. So.
Yeah, that still wasn't as bad as a game that your brother and I went to against Nebraska.
Yeah, during the Joe Salem era.
84-13.
Yeah. If I ever do a podcast on Salem era, that one will get mentioned a lot, I'm sure. So anyway, the 74 season, they not only suffered through a losing season, there was another dip in attendance at home games, averaging about 37,500 a game. And one of those Gophers' 4 wins that year was against North Dakota, which then was a Division II school. So they won maybe 3 games against Division I teams the whole year. And I did do some checking on this. They were outscored by a combined 332-161. So they gave up more than twice as many points as they scored all season. And those games against Michigan and Wisconsin, 49 points each, and Nebraska, 54. Those are blowouts in any sense of the word.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's a Swiss cheese defense. No. Were you at school in 74, or was it the next year that you transferred up?
I transferred up in 76.
Oh, 76. Okay.
Yeah, 74 and 75 I was at Winona State.
I actually went to one game during the '74 season. I had a friend of mine that I knew from Anoka Ramsey. In fact, he was a teacher at Anoka Ramsey Community College. But he had tickets. It was a game against Illinois. It was in November 16th, so it was a week or so before Thanksgiving. The Gophers lost 17-14. 31,000 people at that game. Cold. You could almost sit wherever you wanted. You could just move around, but. It was just that type of year. They didn't win a whole lot of games. There was a player, though, that they really missed. Do you ever remember a guy by the name of Larry Powell? He was from Michigan. He's a running back, and he had a lot of promise. They were really high on this guy. They thought he was going to be great, but he ended up getting sick. And later it was found that he had Guillain-Barré syndrome.
Oh, wow.
That kind of like paralyzes your legs, and I don't think he ever really recovered the use of his legs. So it's sad. He had a chance to be a good football player.
Usually it affects the face.
Yeah.
You get, numb in the face.
He was hospitalized. I mean, they didn't even know what was wrong with him at first. Later it came out that they thought it was Guillain-Barré. So.
Wow.
Regarding individual honors for the Gophers team, there were a few that made the second team, All Big Ten team. A junior tackle named Keith Simons from Belleville, Michigan. We'll talk about him a little bit more next season, for 75 season. There was a senior linebacker named Ollie Bakken. He was from St. Paul. He went to Harding High School. He played 6 years in the Canadian Football League after school. And then we'll talk about him now. Rick Upchurch. He was made into the All Big Ten second team for the second straight year. And he would go on to become an all-pro receiver and kick returner during his 9 seasons with the Broncos. And actually was quite good. I mean, he was great in the NFL.
He was a great player.
Especially returning punts. I mean, he could sniff out the end zone. Here's something about Rick Upchurch that I found. Maybe you read it too. I don't know. But during his first 2 seasons with the Broncos in 75 and 76, he was dating someone who was working on her PhD in political science at the University of Denver, where she had received her Bachelor of Arts degree at age 19. So,
wow.
Any guess who this person was?
I have no idea.
None other than former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice.
Oh, is that right?
I never would
You
have
can't
guessed
make that up.
I never would have guessed that.
Wow, Upchurch was dating Condoleezza Rice?
Yes.
Wow.
According to Condoleezza Rice's biographer, Marcus Mabry is the name, but there's a quote. She, Condoleezza Rice, knew the relationship wasn't going to work, and so they didn't get married. Upchurch, I guess when I looked him up, is married and had 4 children. So, but I just thought that's a couple I never would have thought about.
Well, she's a good athlete in her own right.
Yeah,
Good golfer.
she was. And wasn't she on some kind of committee that would pick these playoff teams, like when they had the college football playoffs?
Yep.
And she was high up in George W. Bush's government. And
right.
So yeah, I mean, a very accomplished person. But I was very surprised when I saw that.
I think she is on the board at Stanford now, isn't she?
Could be.
I think so.
Be.
That's my recollection.
Yep. Yeah. And then that 74 season, of all the players on that team, again, Ollie Bakken, that kid from Harding High, he was the Gophers team MVP. On to the 1975 season, which happened to be my senior year at the U. 1975 was also the year that Saturday Night Live premiered on NBC.
Yeah.
So 50 years and 167 cast members later, as of 2024 at least, SNL is still going. So, Doug, how did the Gophers do that season? That was the 4th year under Cal Stahl.
Well, they had 2 more wins than they did in 74. They ended up 6-5, 3-5 in the Big Ten, tied with Iowa for 7th place, 5-2 at home, and 1-3 on the road. They were still struggling on the road.
I should probably just record a drop of you saying this, but who won the Big Ten in 1975?
Ohio State won the conference with an 8-0 record. They finished 11-1 overall.
Okay.
That one loss of the Buckeyes came on New Year's Day when they lost to UCLA 23-10.
Wow.
Oklahoma won the national championship in 75. Wow. Oklahoma had some tremendous teams back then.
Oklahoma was always tough.
Some great running backs back then.
And what was the attendance like in the 75 season?
They averaged 31,440. Season high was a game against Michigan State at 39,202. which the Gophers lost 38-15.
Average attendance is 31,000.
31,000.
Wow.
They're dropping.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And let's see, the trophy games, how did that go?
Well, they had 2 wins and 1 loss. They hung on for to keep the Floyd of Rosedale by defeating Iowa on the road 31-7. They recaptured Paul Bunyan Sachs with a 24-3 win at home over Wisconsin, but the Gophers missed their chance to recapture the Little Brown Jug after a close loss at home to Michigan, 28.
Ooh, so they gave them a good game.
Yeah,
that would have been
they
nice.
played Michigan tough.
That would have been nice if they could have won that one. So.
Yeah.
All right, in 75, there was one unanimous All-American that played against the Gophers, and that was Archie Griffin. This time he was a senior. He won the Heisman again. And to date, he's still the only NCAA football player to win the Heisman Award twice. He was selected in the first round, 24th overall, by the Cincinnati Bengals in 1976. He played all 7 seasons in the NFL with the Bengals. But as remarkable as his college career was, his time in the NFL was not all that memorable. He never had a 1,000-yard rushing season. He played in Super Bowl 16 with the Bengals. That was in 1982. And he finished the game with 1 carry for 4 yards and muffed a kick return in the 26-21 loss. It's funny, though, as somebody as promising and dominant as he was in the in college, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a great pro.
We've seen that. Running backs, quarterbacks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I'll mention quickly the 3 consensus All-Americans. A guy named Tim Fox, a defensive back from Ohio State. He played 11 years in the NFL. Another guy, Ted Smith, from a senior guard, also with Ohio State, didn't play any pro football. I'm not sure what the reason was, but he spent 31 years as a highway construction superintendent in Ohio after football. Maybe just that was it. Could have been injured. I don't know. I couldn't find further information. And then Wisconsin had a tackle named Dennis Lick. He was a first-round draft pick for the Bears in 1976 and played 6 seasons with the Bears. Those were the consensus All-Americans. You mentioned, Dog, that average attendance was less than 32,000 for 7 home games. And like I said, the Brick House could easily, at one time, held over 60,000 fans, which means they were playing to half-empty houses for home games. So it's a good thing they had schools like Nebraska and Iowa every now and then come up, because that would at least boost it a little bit. So now, did you go to – okay, so you were still at Winona State. Okay.
75 I was.
It's funny. I didn't go to a single home game that year. I was a senior, and I was really bearing down to get through school. I had a lot of credits to make up. I didn't go to the game, but the day that the Gophers beat Iowa in Iowa City, I was in Iowa, but I wasn't at the game. I was at a football stadium in Des Moines, Drake Stadium, watching a football game, and Drake was playing the Long Beach State, whatever they were. I can't remember the nickname. And the only reason I bring it up is, there's a PA announcer at the stadium that was giving scores of games. And when he listed the score of the Gopher game, which the Gophers won 31-7, like you said, I think I was the only one in the stadium that cheered.
I'm sure. You were in Iowa.
Yeah, exactly. That's just funny when I think about it. So, and then that 75 season, Keith Simons, again, he made the All Big Ten first team. And he went on to play 4 seasons in the NFL with the Chiefs and the Cardinals. And after his playing days were over, he moved back to St. Paul. So, and then you probably recognize these names. The Gophers had 2 players on the All Big Ten second team. First one was a quarterback named Tony Dungy.
Oh, yeah.
He's a junior from Jackson, Michigan. I'll have more on him when we talk about the 76 season. And then a senior safety named Doug Bedoin from Jamestown, North Dakota. He went on to play 6 seasons in the NFL and then another 2 years in the USFL, the fledgling other league. And Tony Dungy was also awarded the Gophers team's MVP award in 75. Okay, on to the 1976 season. 1976, that was the year that the U.S. marked its bicentennial. And the average cost of a new car in 1976, average car, was $5,400.
Yeah, my mom turned 50 in 1976.
Okay. Wow.
On July 4th.
Oh, wow. Oh, interesting. Wow. So that was the 5th year for Cal Stahl as Gophers head coach. How did they do in 76, Doug?
Same overall record as 75, and a little better in the Big Ten. They were 6-5 overall, 4-4 in the Big Ten, a 4-way tie for third place with Illinois, Indiana, and Purdue. 4-2 at home, 2-3 on the road.
And Which of the two teams won the Big Ten? in
Well,
76?
we had a tie again, Michigan, Ohio State,
wow.
7-1 records. Michigan won their first 8 games and spent most of the season ranked first in the polls until they were upset 16-14 to Purdue. However, they went on to beat Ohio State 22-0 to earn a berth in the Rose Bowl.
Okay.
But on New Year's Day, the Wolverines fell to Southern Cal 14-6. It was the third consecutive win for the Pac-8. Can I believe the Pac? It was Pac-8
Yeah,
back
still 8,
then
yeah.
in the Rose Bowl, and the seventh of the last 8 Rose Bowl games against the Big Ten. So the Pac-8 was obviously
really dominated
very dominant.
Rose Bowl, yeah.
Yeah, it really did. Pittsburgh, which had the Heisman Trophy winner by the name of Tony Dorsett,
Wow, yeah.
won the national championship in 1976.
I wonder if that's their only championship. I don't remember them ever winning.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Pittsburgh. They had good teams, but
They had
I
good
can't
teams,
remember.
yeah. And
Tony
then, of course, Dorsett went
Yeah,
on to a
wow,
great career
wow.
in Dallas. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And how did the Gophers draw at home in 76?
They averaged 43,000 at Memorial. Season high was Iowa,
course.
53,222, which the Gophers lost by a score of 22-12 after leading 12-0. It's a tough loss.
Yeah, yep. And then their other trophy games, how'd they go?
Well, they were blown out at Michigan, 45-0, and they lost to Wisconsin, 26-17. They got swept.
Wow.
And they're
No trophies that year.
Trophies,
then.
yep.
Oh, tough year. So.
Yep.
Well, in 76, the Gophers played against 4 consensus All-Americans. No one was a unanimous All-American, but these were still good players. There was a guy named Rob Lytle from Michigan, a running back. Great player.
running back, yeah.
Played in the NFL too, 7 seasons with the Broncos.
Broncos.
Guy named Mark Donahue. He was a junior guard, also from Michigan. I'll have more on him in the 77 season. Chris Ward, a junior offensive tackle with Ohio State, which beat the Gophers 9-3 in a low-scoring game at Memorial Stadium. I actually saw that game. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. And more on Chris Ward, too, because he was only a junior that year. And then a guy named Bob Brzezinski, senior defensive end also with Ohio State. He played for the Rams for 13, or he played in the NFL for 13 seasons, 4 with the Rams and 9 with the Dolphins. So in 1976, even the Gophers' 4-4 finish in the Big Ten was a slight improvement over the 75 season. They didn't win the Little Brown Jug, Floyd, or Paul Bunyan's axe. And I know that moral victories still wind up in the loss column, but the Gophers did give Ohio State all they could handle in that low-scoring 9-3 loss at home. I actually saw that game. Even though I was working in the newspaper in Iowa by then, I came home that weekend. I went with my brother Dave and Steve Durant. We had tickets and went to the game, saw that. And it was a senior day, I remember, because it was the last game for Dungy and all that class. But it was a close game. But 9-3 is how it finished up. And regarding individual honors for the Gophers in 1976, strong safety George Adzik from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, would go on to play a couple of years with the Seahawks. He was named to the All-Big Ten first team. And then 3 other Gophers were named to the All-Big Ten second team. Senior quarterback, now a senior, Tony Dungy. He made the All-Big Ten. And then he went on, of course, to become a Super Bowl winning coach in the NFL. And now he serves as an analyst on NBC's Football in America. He's kind of a commentator.
That's right.
So. Senior defensive lineman George Washington. I don't really remember him. He's a Michigan guy, but he was named to the second team at All Big Ten. And then this guy, senior wide receiver Ron Koulis from my hometown of Columbia Heights, Minnesota. I've known Ron since Brother Dave and I were in grade school. I still see him every once in a while at events in Columbia Heights.
I saw him not too long ago, too.
Yeah. So he
Actually, I think I saw him at a state fair of all places.
Yeah, he and Tony Dungy were actually really good friends. I think they're still good friends, but they played together at Minnesota and they did well. So, and for the second straight season, Dungy was awarded the Gopher team's MVP award. So. On to 1977, the year the first Star Wars movie was released, becoming a major cultural phenomenon. In the nearly 50 years since, there have been 11 Star Wars movies made, not including animated series or made-for-TV movies. Anyway, Doug, how did the Gophers do during their 6th season under Stahl?
Well, they played in their first bowl game since 1961.
Yeah.
They were 7-5 overall, 4-4 in the Big Ten, 5th place, 6-1 at home, 1-4 on the road.
Okay. And, well, the Big Ten champion.
Well, once again, Michigan Ohio State tied for the championship, 7-1 records, but the Wolverines beat the Buckeyes 14-6 during a trip to the Rose Bowl.
Okay.
Michigan would lose the Rose Bowl game on New Year's Day to the Washington Huskies that year, who were led by a quarterback named Warren Moon, who was a Viking.
Yes, yes.
Notre Dame, led by quarterback Joe Montana, won the national championship in '77.
I remember that year now. When I hear those names,
It went on to San Francisco
Yep.
in the NFL.
And then how was attendance at Memorial Stadium in 1977?
Well improved. It was 35,302 average. The high was Michigan at 44,165. The Wolverines were ranked number 1 when they met the Gophers on that day, but the Gophers prevailed with a 16-0 upset victory. Think about that.
One of the biggest wins ever. So.
Yeah. It's still the last Gophers victory at home over Michigan.
Oh, man.
I remember they beat Michigan at Michigan.
Yeah, on the road. They just
on
can't
the
beat
road.
them at home.
Yeah, the Gophers never beat Michigan at Hoover H. Humphrey Metrodome, and still haven't beaten them at Huntington Bank Stadium.
No, they have
not.
And then the other 2 trophy games that year then.
Gophers lost at Iowa 18-6, and they beat Wisconsin at home 13-7.
Okay, great. And in 77, there were 3 unanimous All-Americans that played against the Gophers. Chris Ward, senior offensive tackle at Ohio State, which beat the visiting Gophers 38-7. Ward was a consensus All-American in 76 as well, and he was selected in the first round of the NFL draft by the Jets. He played 6 seasons. A guy named Mark Donahue, this time a senior guard at Michigan, selected in the 11th round of the 78 NFL draft, and only played 2 years. And then there were a couple consensus All-Americans. Jerry Robinson was a junior linebacker with UCLA, which the Gophers beat 27-13 at Memorial Stadium. More on him when we talk about 78. And then Tom Cusino, a linebacker with Ohio State, and we'll talk a little bit more about him in 78 season. And back to the Gophers 77 season. That 16-0 win over Michigan was amazing. And you were at that game?
No, I was not at that game.
Okay. It's my brother that went to that game.
Yeah, no, I was not at that game.
Wow.
Hey, I was deep in studying. I was in the engineering program.
Yeah.
Yep. There wasn't a lot of time. I never went to a game when I went to school there. Yeah. Obviously we had season tickets after I graduated, and we were at the Metrodome and that. But no, I never got to a game.
I remember Dave just saying it was one of those games where it actually started to fill up as the game went on. I think people must have been listening on the radio, and when they realized that Gophers were winning, a lot of students just started showing up. And by the end of the game, it was almost full. What was the attendance again for that? You told me what it was. I forgot it was. But I think people must have been like sneaking into the game or something, because that stadium, he said, almost looked like it was capacity.
44,165. Yeah.
It really filled up as the game went on.
Right.
So.
Right.
Oh, gosh. So, huge win. It's funny because the game is 16-0, and all 16 of Minnesota's points were scored either by sophomore kicker Paul Rogan with his field goals and running back Marion Barber Jr. That's where all the points came, because, then Rogan would kick the extra point, and that's how they got all their points.
I remember I had my window open
in
my dorm room, and I was living on the West Bank in Middlebrook Hall, and I could hear
You could hear it from the West Bank. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Remember how I said earlier in the podcast that Cal Stahl's connections to Michigan would help him with recruiting players from there when he came to Minnesota? I'll just give you a quick list of players that we've already mentioned. Quarterback Tony Dungy, of course, from Jackson, Michigan. The tackle Keith Simons, he was from Michigan. Kicker Paul Rogan. Defensive lineman George Washington. And running backs Larry Powell and Marion Barber Jr. All those guys were from Michigan. I'm sure, like I said, with Cal Stahl's connections, he was able to get those kids to come up here, so. Okay, and you know that when Michigan got shut out 16-0, that was the first time in 112 games, dated all the way back to 1967, 11 seasons since they'd even been shut out, so.
Wow.
I saw one Gopher game on the road that year. I saw them play at Iowa. It was the first of my 2 trips. You and I went with a bunch of guys in 79, I remember. But
we did.
I went with Dave in 77 to see them play. And they actually didn't look that good that day. They lost 18-6, and I thought, there was a season Well, they did go a bowl game, so I mean they won some games, but it's like that was a game they definitely should have won. They should have had more than 7 wins. That was a good team. By the way, have you, besides Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, have you ever been to any other Big Ten games?
I have not.
I haven't either. Dave's been to like 3 or 4 places, but I have not been to any of those. So, but the 7 wins that did give them a nod. They were invited to the Hall of Fame Classic at Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. I think we should also be noting that 2 of those wins, those non-conference wins, came against Pac-8 teams, UCLA and Washington, which beat Michigan in the Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl.
So,
right.
I mean, those are nice. Those are good wins. So 2 Gophers made the All-Big Ten first team, sophomore kicker Paul Rogan, and then a senior defensive tackle, Steve Midbow of Barron, Wisconsin. And then a guy that I know you know because I know him too, on the second team, senior defensive tackle Mark Merrill from Roseville.
Yes, I knew Mark.
I remember him playing. I remember playing pool with him in the basement of your home in Columbia Heights. You had some kind of party, and he was there with a bunch of Heights guys, and we were playing pool down there.
Yeah, he was friends with a guy I worked with at City of Columbia Heights by the name of Jim Molinaro.
Okay, yeah.
And Jim and Mark lived together in Fridley.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to get invited once in a while to go out with those guys and on the town, and it was, yeah. Mark generated a lot of interest from women.
I can believe it. He's a big stud,
Yeah.
Yeah, we played 7 years in the NFL, so he was, he was quite an athlete. And then the senior center in that team that year, a guy named Mark Slater from Crosby, North Dakota, he also made that second All-Big Ten team. And he played 6 years in the NFL.
I used to see Mark over at Sensors in Roseville. I'd go in for luncheon or whatever, and he'd be sitting at the bar. And he actually had a sandwich named after him, Sensors.
Oh.
I think it was like a tuna sandwich, if I remember.
Okay.
It was on the menu.
Wow.
Yeah, it was Merrill's. It was called Merrill's. Yeah.
Well, he was from Roseville, so that was a good promotion.
Yeah.
Sensors was in Roseville,
right?
So,
yeah.
And then there was a senior. I forgot to mention him, a senior defensive back named Bobby Weber from Arden Hills, Minnesota. And you might not remember him so well, but I bet you remember his son, Adam Weber.
Oh, sure.
He was Brewster's quarterback. Poor kid played quarterback for 4 years, and I think he had a different offensive coordinator each year.
Yeah.
It was just he played a tough time to play at the U, but he was the quarterback there 4 years, and he did play a few seasons in. He was like on NFL practice squads, and I think he played in Canadian football for a while.
Actually, a pretty good quarterback.
Yeah, he was fine. He
Yeah.
was a good player. And then Steve Midbow, who I had mentioned earlier, he was actually the team MVP that year in '77. So. Okay, on to 1978. The first year the test tube baby was born, or the first test tube baby was born. The first Ben & Jerry's ice cream shop opened in Burlington, Vermont. And the first non-Italian since 1523 was elected Pope, John Paul II of Poland. I'm kind of reluctant to even bring this up, the 78 season, because it turned out to be the final season under Cal Stahl, but we got to talk about it. So tell us, how did the Gophers do in 1978?
This year I graduated from the university.
Yeah.
Not great. 5-6 overall, 4-4 in the Big Ten, 5th place, 4-2 at home, 1-4 on the road.
Okay. And, well, who did win the Big Ten?
Well, it was a little different. It was tie again, but it was Michigan and Michigan State that year. 7-1 records. Michigan State beat Michigan 24-15. When they met, the Wolverines earned a Rose Bowl berth because the Spartans were on probation, recruiting violations. Surprise, surprise. Illegal fundraising, providing players with unauthorized benefits like cars and gifts.
Which are all legal now, but...
Yeah, exactly. In fact, in 1978, Purdue finished third in the Big Ten at 6-1-1. Ohio State, which had won or shared the conference championship in 6 of the first 7 seasons of 1970s, finished fourth at 6-2. Michigan would lose to Southern Cal 17-10 in the Rose Bowl. The loss was Michigan's third straight in the Rose Bowl and 4th consecutive in major bowls. Southern Cal and Alabama shared the national championship in 78.
Yeah, it's amazing for as dominant as Michigan and Ohio State were in the Big Ten throughout the 70s, and the 1 year Michigan State got in. They didn't have much luck in the Rose Bowl. They just the Pac-8, it didn't matter who it was. Washington, Stanford, USC, UCLA, they'd always beat them. So
Well, we've talked about this. it's a different brand of basketball, football. You had really a power running in the Big Ten, and then you had the speed and the wide receivers and passing. Although, Southern Cal had some great running backs.
Yeah.
From O.J. Simpson to, it's pretty remarkable the talent they had there.
Yeah,
no doubt.
You're right. Yep. And then 78 at home. How did they draw?
39,678 average. Season high was against Ohio State, 55,200, which the Gophers lost 27-10.
Okay. And then there are 3 trophy games.
They won one of 3. They beat Iowa 22-20 at home. They lost at Michigan 42-10. So they didn't get the little brown jug. And it turned out that Cal's last game as Gophers head coach, they lost 48-10. So they did not.
They got blown out that.
Yeah,
so,
not good. Was at Wisconsin.
Yep. And I think there was talk about that too. Even though I lived in Iowa, I remember saying that there was talk that this might be Stahl's last year because they were struggling, and so. Okay, they played against 3 consensus All-Americans in 78. First one was Tom Cusino. He was a senior linebacker with Ohio State. He had a good pro career as well, both in the NFL and in the CFL. This Jerry Robinson that we mentioned in 77, he was a senior linebacker that year with UCLA, and he played 6 seasons for the Eagles in the NFL, and then played even longer. I think he played with the Raiders too for 7 years. So he had a long career in the NFL, Jerry Robinson. Then a guy named Kenny Easley, who was just a sophomore D-back with UCLA. He had a great career in the NFL. In fact, I think he's actually in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So he was a great player in college and in the pros. So, well, regarding that 78 season, like I said, a tough one for Cal Stahl. And they started out 1-3, including losses at home to Ohio State and Oregon State. They climbed back to 500 with a win at home over Iowa and on the road at Northwestern. But then they went 2-3 the rest of the way with losses on the road to Michigan, Michigan State, and Wisconsin. 4 Gophers, though, made the All-Big Ten first team. First team, so that's good showing by them. Sophomore tailback Marion Barber from Detroit. He went on to play with the Jets from 82 to 89. Junior kicker Paul Rogan, that was his second straight year on the first team. Senior defensive back Keith Brown from St. Louis. He was drafted by the Jets, but I'm not sure if he ever played in the NFL. And then there was a senior defensive end named Stan Sitzma from Hutchinson.
I remember
Do you remember
Sitzma.
that name?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
He played a couple of years with the NFL with the Falcons. So, and then the Gophers had 2 players on the All-Big Ten second team, senior nose guard Doug Freiberg and a senior defensive tackle named Jim Ronan. It doesn't appear that either of those guys played any football after college. And then Marion Barber received the Gophers Team MVP award for 78, which I can see. I was going to mention something about Barber, and I'm sure you remember this as I bring it up. He had 3 sons that played for the Gophers.
That's
Marion
right.
Barber. The first one was Marion Barber III, who was a Pro Bowl running back for the Cowboys. Sad that he actually passed away a few years ago.
Yeah, he passed away.
He was working out like on an exercise bike or something in his apartment. It was like 91 degrees or something. I think he had some mental health issues going on at the same time.
He did.
His death was ruled an accident, but I know he had some issues. But it's sad because he was a great pro running back, and it's just tough. The second son to wear the maroon and gold, his name is Dominique Barber. He was a safety who went on to play for the Texans for a while in the NFL. And then the third son, I don't remember much about him, but his name is Thomas Barber. He was a linebacker for the Gophers, and now he's part of the University of St. Thomas football coaching staff. He's an assistant.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, but I'm thinking, 3 sons that all played for the Gophers, so that's cool. And then the other thing about Marion Barber, which is neat, his last year of football with the Gophers was in 1980, but he graduated from the U with a degree in youth studies in 2017. Almost 40 years after his last game in maroon and gold. So, I did a podcast with my brothers about the Gopher football teams back in the Murray-Warmath area, and Bobby Bell, he went 50-some years before he got his degree. He graduated like in 62, and then in the 2000s he got his,
one of the greatest Gophers of all time.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You have to listen to that podcast, Doug. We talk a lot about Bobby Bell, so... Okay, Doug. Let's talk about the trophy games now. How did they played Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan every year during the Stahl era? How did they do overall in those games?
Well, against Iowa, the Gophers were 5-2, 4-1 at home, 1-1 on the road.
Okay.
Against Wisconsin, the Gophers went 4-3, 3-0 at home, and 1-3 on the road. And against Michigan, the Gophers were 1-6, 1-2 at home, and 0-4 on the road.
Okay. I got some interesting stats. I'll say in their meetings. Since in the 37 meetings between the Gophers and Michigan since Stahl left Minnesota after the '78 season, the two teams stopped playing every year starting in 1999. But Michigan holds what you might say a slight edge: 34 wins, 3 losses, and it's even more lops at all time. They've played 106 times over since the 1890s or whatever. The Gophers have 25 wins, 78 losses, and 3 ties. So 25, 78, and 3. The Michigan's won more than 3 times more games than the Gophers have. Against Wisconsin, now that in the 46 times Minnesota and Wisconsin have met since Cal Stahl's last season, Wisconsin has dominated the series. They've gone 31-15 with 2 of those wins in overtime. But all time, in the 134 meetings between the two teams, I think that's the longest continuous rivalry, too.
It is.
It's exactly tied. They've each won 63 games, and there have been 8 ties. The last one came in 1956 because they don't even have ties anymore. But it's amazing. After all those years and all those continuously games, it's 63, 63, and 8. So, and then finally, the Iowegians, Iowa. Since Stahl left in '78, in the 46 times Minnesota and Iowa have met, Iowa has also dominated. They've gone 31-15, just like Wisconsin. But all time, in the 118 meetings between the two schools, the first game being in 1891, Minnesota still holds a lead of 63 wins, 53 losses, and 2 ties. But it's been such a change since the late 70s. It's both Wisconsin and Iowa have just owned the Gophers, record-wise. So after that '78 season, with a combined record of 33 wins and 96 losses, we cannot say that the Gophers have done better against Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa after Cal Stahl left. He served as head football coach at his alma mater, the U, from '72 to '78. His most notable season was in '77 when he led the Gophers to that 16-0 shutout victory over top-ranked Michigan and a trip to the Hall of Fame Classic Bowl. He finished his career at Minnesota after the '78 season, compiling a career college football record of 54-56. And during his 7 seasons as Gophers head coach, had an overall record of 39 wins and 39 losses. In the Big Ten, they won 27 games, lost 29. 11 players were named to the All-Big Ten first team. 16 Gopher players were named to the All-Big Ten second team. And 12 Gophers were named academic All-Big Ten. But just a few takeaways about Stahl during his time. Without a doubt, it was a much different landscape now than it was when he was coaching. For example, when Stahl took over as head coach in '72, only one Big Ten team was allowed to go to a bowl game. From '72 to '74, for example, Michigan had records of 10-1, 10-0-1, and 10-1, and stayed home all 3 years.
Well, when you only have one bowl.
Well, right. And then, of course, those 3 years Ohio State went. It was literally, well, not literally, but virtually Big 2 and Little 8 for years.
Yeah.
It was which of those 2 teams are going to the Big 10, the rest of them we'll see what happens. So, and they said with no other bowl games, I think that's probably why schools would schedule tougher non-conference games, because they did back when Stahl was there. I mean, they were playing UCLA and Washington and Southern
Nebraska,
Cal. And they weren't playing
Colorado.
Louisiana Monroe or some of these teams that the Gophers were padding their schedule with. Cupcake games. So it was a different time. Today, the goal in major college football isn't so much to be bowl eligible, but to avoid not being bowl eligible.
Right.
If you can't get to a game, it would have to be a bad year. Because you need 6 wins to get in to play an extra season game. So it's just a different time. So. Okay, about Stahl himself. After that '78 season, people say, well, what happened to Cal Stahl? What did he do after he got done with that? Well, in the spring of 1986, so that was 8 years after his last season, he relocated to Italy to become a head coach of an Italian amateur football team called the Warriors Bologna. And they won the Italian Bowl, the Italian Bowl 6 in 1986. Sadly, though, that one season with Warriors Bologna would turn out to be Cal Stahl's last football coaching role, as serious health problems forced him into retirement. He was 62 years old at the time. And after he returned to the U.S., he was diagnosed with idiopathic cardiomyopathy, which is a degeneration of the heart muscle. Stahl underwent a heart transplant in July 1987 at the University of Minnesota, of course, his alma mater. In 1988, Stahl and other fellow heart transplant recipients started a group called Second Chance for Life. It was a support group for heart transplant patients. And also in 1988, Stahl was inducted into the Minnesota Football Coaches Association Hall of Fame. In August 2000, 13 years after his heart transplant, Stahl passed away after a month-long illness due to heart complications. He was 76 years old. In 2001, the Minnesota Football Coaches Association, or MFCA for short, established the Cal Stahl Award. The Cal Stahl Award is given annually by MFCA to an individual connected to football in the state of Minnesota who has overcome adversity. And here's a good trivia question for you, Dog.
Yeah.
Which coach with a Minnesota connection at the time won the Cal Stahl Award in 2014?
I can't answer it.
Jerry Kill.
Oh, Jerry.
Well, you remember
2014, sure.
2014. He was the head coach at Minnesota for at least 5 or 6 years, I think.
Right.
But he was afflicted with epileptic seizures.
Right.
And,
Had
you know,
epilepsy.
I remember there were times where he wouldn't coach or couldn't coach, other times where he's up in the press box and Tracy Clays was coaching him. But he
defensive coordinator.
He had some real issues, some health issues. So he actually won that Cal Stahl Award that one year. So. As a lifelong Gopher football fan, Dog, how do you think Cal Stahl should be remembered during his time as head football coach at Minnesota?
Well, I think he brought a lot of respect back to the program, in my opinion. I mean, the win against Michigan was huge. You look at, when we just talked about the record against Michigan, and to be able to pull that off is just remarkable, and to win 16-0.
Yeah.
That's just a remarkable game.
Yeah.
So he brought, if you look at his record, he did better when he wasn't at the U in terms of his success as a coach, really, truly. And you have to wonder, was it Cal or was it the program itself? That's the problem at the university. And you can make that argument with a lot of the coaches at the University of Minnesota over the years. Is it the way the structures, the administration, how things are handled, the quality of the facilities, whatever? Or is it the coach? And so, I think Cal showed that he was a success at other schools and did well at other places, and he did pretty remarkably well at the university, all things considered.
Yep. I think his 2 7-win seasons and his 2 6-win seasons in the 70s were actually a bigger accomplishment than 6-win or 7-win seasons are today.
Because of the quality of the teams that are playing.
Yep. So I say hats off to Cal Stahl. I think he was a great coach, and he's worth remembering, because I feel bad in a way that he's been kind of forgotten. That's why I wanted to do this podcast. So. Well, this has been fun, Dog. Great to get together again with you to share memories of those 7 seasons that Cal Stahl was.
Brings back a lot of memories, Bob.
Yep. So thanks again for joining me on this podcast. Appreciate it. And again, to our listeners, thanks for hanging out with me, Bob Edholm, and Tom Madigan. We hope you'll join us for the next episode of Hanging Out with Bob, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until then, bye.